get by. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the same. And right now, I feel like 100 grand.
You are listening to Inspired Insider with your host, Dr. Jeremy Wise.
Dr. Jeremy Weiss here, host of InspiredInsider.com. This is a special episode where I have some amazing leaders and entrepreneurs share some of their favorite resources, so stay tuned.
This episode is brought to you by Rise 25. At Rise 25, we help B2B businesses give to and connect to their Dream 200 relationships and partnerships. We do this in two ways. Number one, we are an easy button for a company to launch and run a podcast for ROI. We do the strategy, accountability, and full execution and production. Number two, we are also an easy button for your company's corporate gifting. We make gifting and staying top of mind to your clients, partners, and prospects simple and seamless and affordable. Some companies even send gifts to staff from a culture perspective. All you have to do is give us the list of people you want to follow up and keep in touch with, and we do everything else from there, from gift selection to the card to your branding on the box. We call ourselves the magic elves that run in the background to make it as stress-free as possible for companies so they can build relationships and run their business. For me, the number one thing in my life is relationships, and I am always looking at how to give to my best relationships. And I've found no better way over the past decade than having them on my podcast, featuring what they are working on and sharing it with the world, and also sending delicious treats in the mail every few months for years. If you have thought about starting a podcast or gifting, do it. If you have questions, email us at support@rise25.com or go to rise25.com to learn more.
I know Robert is treasure trove of information. So Robert, I'm super excited. We'll talk about books, podcast offer, but first of all, just tell people what you do and the website where people can check you out.
Yeah, Robert Hartline, and I am starting something new. I got a new brand I'm working on called Scaling Sober. I'm doing a TV show in 26. I'm helping 8 entrepreneurs navigate sobriety and scaling their business at the same time. And I'm excited about that. So I'm an EOS implementer, scaled the business, and I really enjoyed this new phase of my life because I've helped a lot of people through sobriety and scale their business, and I want to combine both. So yeah,
I saw that. That'll be exciting, and I look forward to seeing how that goes because it's going to probably take some interesting twists and turns.
Oh yeah, it's probably
what made you decide? I mean, you are so busy, you have so many projects. Why that one?
Man, something I'm really passionate about, and I've really taken this different turn where I'm learning a lot about why people use alcohol and drugs to escape, and by specifically driven entrepreneurs. And speaking of driven, this book here, Driven, is a book I was exposed to a couple of years ago, and it helped to shape my thinking and why we entrepreneurs are drawn to escape with alcohol primarily and other drugs. And it really helped me understand the difference between, fear and then the creative mode. So we go through these fear and super creative fear, and we're just kind of like riding this roller coaster, and being able to understand how to change your state is something I've really gotten into lately.
So on the books topic, you just mentioned one. What are some of your favorite books of all time?
Well, all time and currently, I would go with currently. I'm really into My Big Toe, Thomas Campbell. It's My Big Toe is Thomas Campbell. Him and Robert Monroe started this Monroe Institute. Robert Monroe wrote a book called Out of Body Experience, and he basically teaches you how to astral project. Like literally, you can lie in your bed and float out of your body and see yourself sleep. This is crazy stuff that I would never believe was possible until you do it. without any assistance of drugs. And you're like, okay, there's a whole nother realm that would be fun to play in. So anyway, my big toe is talking about simulation, we are in a simulation. And it's a great book to like.
I'm looking at the website right now, and it says My Big Toe, A Big Picture Theory of Everything by Tom Campbell. Is that the same? Yeah. I've never heard of this.
No, it's all of the gateway tapes or binaural beats these tones that you can put in sound and music that gets you into an altered state without any drugs or alcohol. Some of these states where you don't have the worry and fear, you have more places to explore.
It's wild. What else? What else are you loving on the book front?
On the book front, I also like another book that's also it was out a long time ago. Big Magic, Elizabeth Gilbert, and talks about how a lot of authors and creators get these downloads where they get these visions of books and ideas, and they don't know where they came from. And she shares an experience of her and another author who met by chance, and she literally had the exact same book idea as someone else did. And it's just very bizarre to think about. When we have these ideas, we think we're so creative and they're our ideas. The idea that maybe they're not our ideas, they're given to us by some other whatever. It's just fascinating to me.
See, I thought you were going to say traction because you love EOS.
Oh, I absolutely would say traction. If I was going to say one book that radically changed my life, it would absolutely be Traction. And if I could think of one person that had more impact on the business community that I'd say nobody knows, but no, he's not a name that is in folklore in our culture, and that's Gino Wickman for sure.
Yep. Have you had Gino on the podcast? Your podcast?
No, I haven't, because our podcast is really designed for EO, entrepreneur organization members in our chapter, nobody else.
Got it. Let's go with podcasts. You could shout yours, and then what are some of your favorite ones that you listen to?
I honestly like My First Million. That podcast is really incredible, well done. Former founders of The Hustle. This is a great podcast, and I have a short cameo in there. I did their fitness challenge.
I saw that.
and they gave me a shout out for a minute and a half, which was it felt good. It was cool.
Any others, or are there any favorite guests from their show that you like?
Not that I can think of off the top of my head. No.
What about your favorite? I know it's hard on your podcast. Who are some fan favorite guests?
Matt Cruz, who I interviewed him on our podcast, and he brought a race here in Nashville, which was phenomenal, like Indy cars in Nashville, and his story of spending 8 years going on this journey to bring this race in Nashville, and all he had to go through to actually build this. And the day that his track was built, and he was driving into Nashville, and he saw his track after he imagined it for 8 years, and to actually drive through his track that he had created after all the toil it would take to do it. It was a fascinating story of visioning something and actually coming into reality.
Awesome. What about apps in software? Adit, thanks. I'll get to you in a minute. Thanks for joining us. And
I know Robert, he was on my podcast.
Yes.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Howdy. Yes. I'd say favorite
Yeah.
app that I'm a huge fan of, Marco Polo. It's an app for asynchronous video. And
you still heavy user of that?
I'm not as heavy as I used to because I don't have a team like I used to, but I still love it. And I think for people who are trying to authentically connect with other people on their team, asynchronous video is really the way to do it.
Talk about that, how you used it, because you had a lot of unique ways of using Marco Polo with your team.
Well, I mean, the ideal way to communicate with anybody is face to face, right? In person. Next best would be, in my book, asynchronous, meaning, if you and I want to talk, we got to get on Zoom and our internet's going to be great. And, there's a lot of conditions. Plus, you may not be in a great state of mind to actually communicate. Maybe you're having a bad day, right? And so, plus, we have to be on the same calendar schedule. Like there's all these things we got to do. Whereas asynchronous, I can share an idea, a vision, a question. And when you're going to grab a cup of coffee and you're walking downstairs, you can receive my message. You can respond to my message. It's just a new way and a different way to communicate authentically with your face, because your face is saying so much.
You would do training too, though, through there, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Especially for salespeople, because salespeople need a big pat on the back. You're doing a good job, keep going. All those kind of things are like really important to recognize performance and give people attaboys, and you just can't get that across a text or an email. I mean, there's really no other way to do it other than some kind of asynchronous connection.
What other apps and software are you liking? It could be on your phone or computer. What are you using?
I'm doing all the same chat and all these things. I'm liking Grok in my car. I got a Tesla, and now I can just Grok it. And that's pretty cool. I've been playing around with the language stuff, but I'm still terrible at Spanish.
How do you use Grok?
After meetings, I get in it and I'll kind of dictate what my meeting was about and give me a summary of like an email that I want to send to somebody. And I can just copy and paste it, drop it in an email. So that's been helpful for sure. And honestly, I've used it as a therapist and it's pretty freaking awesome. Because it tells me I'm so awesome. That's what I like most about it. They just really think my ideas are on point, It's so true. It's just absolutely the only way to go is like, yeah, I am pretty fucking cool,
You can call me, I'll tell you that. What about any on your phone that you use regularly? I don't know if you have any health stuff that you're doing, because I know you're always.
And I have all that. I got the Oura Ring, and I use the Connect app for my fitness watch. But all it does is kind of like make me anxious about sleeping. Like I wake up, did I sleep well? How do I feel? I don't know. Do you feel? And it's one of those. I'm starting to believe what I'm hearing is like there is such a thing as like this artificial anxiety around sleep. But I don't know about you, and I wake up at 2 a.m. like clockwork. Like I don't know if I'm going to start a new thing where I'm just going to get up at 2 and I'm just going to work, and then if I get sleepy, I'll go back to sleep. Maybe I think otherwise I just sit there and just like be anxious about not having a good night's rest.
I know another entrepreneur
what was that? Go ahead.
I was saying I know another entrepreneur that he doesn't do it so much anymore, but he was going to bed at 8 or something and waking up at 3. And that was like his normal sleep pattern. And he's like, I'm so productive from 3 on. It's crazy, right?
Well, I was laughing because a minute ago you had a friend talking about, if you got to sleep better, you all these things would be true. And it's like, I would love to sleep better. Like I have all the tools. I got the sleep aid bed. I got I got the sound machine. Like I do this tea before I go to sleep. Same thing, 2 a.m. I don't even eat sugar or drink up at 2 a.m. Like I'm doing all the things, but up at 2 a.m. So I mean, like I'm one of those people that will click on any link that says you'll sleep better if you watch this. I will click on it and I will do all the things, and I will be always disappointed. Always. There's nothing like unless maybe I just start taking some wild drug that just kicks me out. I don't know, but I don't want to do that.
No, I agree. But hey Zeke, good to see you. We'll get to you in a second. Robert, thank you as always. You can stay on, hang out if you got to go. I totally get it. Adi, good to see you. I'd love just start people. We'll talk about this is right. Great people, great resources, books, podcasts, apps, and software. talk about what you do in your website first, and then we'll get to the questions.
Yes, so my website is bizsuccesscg.com, B-I-Z, success spelled out, CG, consulting group, for consulting group, so bizsuccesscg.com. What we do is we create, document, optimize, and implement processes and procedures for companies, so to empower teams and get business owners the freedom that they so want and desire and need. So we're all about process documentation. And Jeremy, one of our best episodes that you and I recorded was about efficiency and tools. I mean, that's still, I mean, I'm sure things changed since then, but I want to give a big shout out to Jeremy and to John for the amazing job on producing my podcast. And I'm probably almost at 500 episodes, and it's all because of John and Jeremy and Rise 25.
Oh, thank you. That's awesome.
The best people that I've ever met were through my podcast. So there you go.
Amen. Yeah. So start off with, maybe we'll go podcast first. Some of your favorite podcasts, then we'll go to books. What are some of your favorite podcasts you'd recommend?
The Inspired Insider.
I'll take it.
Okay, good. Just like ChatGPT, you're wonderful. It's like your podcast is the best. No, I'm all into AI now. I'm part of the AI leadership collective with Jeff Woods. So I like his podcast. I would recommend that one. I just came back from a collective meeting in Austin. It was fantastic. So big shout out to Jeff and his team. That was very good. And, I listen to different podcasts, different Build to Sell is very good, different
John
podcasts.
Morello, that's a great one.
Yeah. So, I mean, honestly, yours and John's are really good podcasts. So I have my podcast app and whatever, like I'm trying different business podcasts. Yeah.
Love it. What about books? Some of your favorite books?
Okay. So I just read this book. It's called Power Questions. It's Gerald Panas. I really like his books. He has a great books about selling and fundraising. But this is Power Questions. It's really about asking the right questions in order to get the right answers, right? Or to open doors or to understand. And I think that nowadays asking questions is very important because that's how you can work with AI the most successful. You have to ask the right questions. So obviously you can ask the AI to ask you the right questions, but you also need to be able to ask the right questions to get the right answers. And this is a very simple book to read. It has a lot of examples in it, and it's actually fascinating. So that's what I
love that. I remember, I love books that have questions, right? There's a book of beautiful questions by Warren Berger. There's like so many ones. I always, thanks for that reminder. I have to go into Amazon, just type in like questions and see what's in the title and see what books are out there.
Yeah. And it has like, it's very short chapters, and each chapter is basically has a question on how you use it. So suggestions on how to use this question. And it just keeps the conversation going. It really also creates the right questions for the right people. And especially now with AI, you can research about the people, what is important to them, etc., and then use the right question.
Any other favorite books?
I have a lot of favorite books, but that's the one that comes to mind. I mean, I have a whole library here. We can go over it, but I think this is what was top of mind right now.
Cool. Apps and software. Some of your favorite apps and software.
Yeah, so I'm into efficiency and consolidating apps. That's my thing. So I love ClickUp. We live in ClickUp. We work, everything works. All of our internal company works, or internal works in the companies in ClickUp. So I use the app. We of course use Slack as well. So those two apps are great. Those are the ones that I would say we use it, and we use Suite Process to document our internal processes, just like you, Jeremy. And of course, we also use it with our clients along other apps. So those are the three apps that I use the most. I try to figure out how we can use everything in those three apps as opposed to then expand to others, because it just becomes just too much. So I'm into consolidating apps and not expanding on, although I have a lot of apps on my phone. And of course, I appreciate apps that makes life easier, and, the workout app, this app, that app, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I find that a lot of these companies are incorporating AI into their tools. So like I'm like, please incorporate it in a tool so I don't have to go to a separate app to do this, right?
Yeah.
So
Although
hopefully that,
somebody told me like on an app where you can actually push, I think it was monologue. So I'm gonna try it. And in terms of you can push, like you can actually have a voice message, like you can actually dictate and it will
Hmm.
push it to the different apps. Although each one of them has it, but I think it makes it for some
Oh, it
reason.
automatically pushes it to the different apps.
Yeah,
Okay.
apparently it makes it easier because, of course, my chat
Okay.
GPT is like the conversation. I mean, I know, Robert, you were talking about Grok and how you integrate it with your life. So we all have those. I mean, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've been using Whisperflow a lot
Oh,
on my
Whisper. Yeah. So that
desktop.
one. What do you think about that?
It was glitchy a couple weeks ago. Now it's been good, right?
Okay.
But I mean, because I, obviously can speak, so much faster than I can type. So I've been getting in the habit of just doing it everywhere. So I dictate everything into the email,
So
and
Whisper Flow basically like then.
it's a desktop app. Yes, you just click on it, you talk into it, and wherever your cursor is, it will fill it in wherever your cursor is on your
Oh,
computer. So
I'll
if it's on
try it out.
social or, obviously I'm using ChatGPT, I just use the voice recording function. But if
But
I'm like,
apparently this
if I
is
want to dictate an email or something like that really quickly,
that's good
then
to
I'll
know.
just do it with Whisperflow.
Because what I've been doing is going to Loom again. I mean, I'm saying consolidating apps and then I'm naming all my apps, but Loom, for instance, because I want to, it's very important, like what Robert mentioned, he mentioned Marco Polo, but it's very important that for me, that we are a remote team, that you actually hear the voice as well. It's not just dictating, it's not like writing, you have to have those conversations. So I use Loom a lot in terms of I record something. So if I want to explain something, I find it easier, just like you would explain something to somebody that next to you, I will explain it using a Loom video.
Yeah.
So definitely use that as
Yeah.
well.
I love it. Adi, always a pleasure. Thanks. Of course, stay if
Thank
you want.
you.
If you got to hop, I totally get it. Zeke, great to see you. First of all, it's been a while. Great people, great resources. Let's start with what you do and your website so people can check it out. And if you don't know Robert and Zeke, you guys should know each other too. So talk about what you do.
Of course. Yeah, I'm the founder and CEO of DataSpeaks. It's an analytics platform for marketing teams to help them understand which ads are driving sales and conversions so they can invest in the right channels and campaigns.
Cool. And what's the URL?
Dataspeaks.ai.
Awesome. So let's start off with books. What are some of your favorite books?
Yeah. So these days, most of what I read about is machine learning, AI, statistics, analytics, essentially working with data, working with code, extracting insights from data. Um, the other type of a book that I read is essentially what you guys were talking about before, books about mental models, frameworks. I like tools that can apply in multiple different situations. So whether it is what questions to write or what frameworks to use or different kind of metaphors and mental models that can help us, make the right decisions. That's the kind of stuff I'm usually really interested in, philosophy and, just kind of like how the mind works.
I'm wondering, are there any favorite books on the mental models? I know it's interesting. Before you came in, Ethan King came on. I don't know, Robert, if you know Ethan. He's in EO Atlanta. Um, Asif, good to see you, by the way. And he was talking about Robert Greene's books, and he loves Robert Greene's books from like mental models. And I know one of my friends, Michael Simmons, has like a group where he basically talks about mental models, and it's like I think he's got a paid subscription newsletter where they kind of consolidate different mental models and share the different mental models with people, right? Because it just accelerates, it just makes things faster and easier. I don't know if any stick out on that front that you like, Zeke, from a mental models
There's
frameworks.
there's one that I just read probably a year ago called The Great Mental Models, General Thinking Concepts by, let me see, Shane Parrish.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and there's that's one of many. And what I found is
I
that
see the great mental models. There's a box set here.
okay, I
Yeah,
didn't know
too.
about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I find that kind of stuff really interesting because it applies to so many different situations.
Love it. Podcasts. What are some of your favorite podcasts?
Yeah, so I actually don't follow podcasts. So I watch individual episodes.
Yeah. Who are some of your favorites?
Lenny's podcast for startups is awesome. I love that. But what I usually do is I just go to YouTube and I just search for whatever I want to learn at any given time. Some are short videos, some are longer videos, some are podcasts. So whatever content I can find, that's usually how I come across podcasts.
Yeah. Are there any favorite guests or people that you've been searching for, or you stumbled across on these
You know,
topics?
it's very related to whatever is relevant at any given time. So lately, there was one about the product market fit framework that I found really interesting. There was another one about founder-led sales for like early day startups that I also found really interesting. It's essentially what is the challenge that I'm facing at any given time? Who has succeeded at that? What can I learn from them?
Yeah, I'm actually, as you're talking, I pulled up the Lenny's newsletter.com and Lenny's podcast, and I'm looking at he had $46 billion of hard truths from Ben Horowitz. I'm sure that's an interesting episode. I'll have to check that one out.
Yeah.
What about apps and software? Some of your favorite apps and software could be on your phone, your computer.
Yeah, well, some of the ones we're probably using, all of us, right? So, ChatGPT, I use that daily. I use Claude to have a Max subscription. I use it for vibe coding and, just creating all sorts of stuff, documents. Um, I use Notion. That's where all my content lives, like company guidelines, branding, that kind of stuff. You were mentioning Whisper Flow. I use that daily. Those are kind of the main ones, and I found that the way I think about AI is I want to have kind of a central hub that can then connect to all my tools, so it connects to Zapier, and I have a bunch of NCP servers that send emails, write drafts. So it's the one tool that connects to everything and also has access to all my data. So it has the relevant information to go and see what the last conversation I had with someone was based on that, and how I like to reply to content. Like it writes a draft for me and then shows me what's going on, and I just approve it or whatever, right? So, like I usually use it one of two different ways. One is I use Whisperflow to just brain dump whatever's on my mind, do this, do this, do this. Or I have a trigger set with NAN where, if this happens, then execute this, so, um, but it's all the tools that we used to use, 3, 5 years ago, with an AI layer on top of that, that executes and orchestrates all those processes.
Are there any other tools you're using from like a vibe coding perspective? I know you're big in AI and software. What else do you use with that?
Yeah, so I think it's more about the process for me. So I want to know what am I trying to build, and then what is what are the different steps in the process. So first I want a wireframe, then I want the wireframe to be an actual design, then I want it to be functionality. So I just take it one step at a time. I mostly use Claude and Claude Code, Whisperflow to get, as you said, we speak way faster than we type, so I don't want to waste time typing. And then I just iterate, just do this, do this, do this. And then I have a team that actually takes that and, turns it into production ready code, right? Because it's like, I just want to prototype quickly. I just want to show demos. And yeah, I just, for example, did a demo for Nike, and I just need everything customized with Nike logo, and I was able to do that in minutes, so that kind of stuff. And any kind of like PDF reports or analysis or proposals, because it has access to all my data. I can just say, do this, and yeah, that's usually my process.
Love it. First of all, thank you. Zeke, I'm going to get to Asif. If you want to stay. If you got to hop off, I totally get it. You'll probably want to stay. He's speaking to our group as of right now on Monday about AI and how to use AI in your business. And both of you geek out on AI. So first of all, just start off, your name, what you do, and your website so people can check it out. And we'll get to books, podcasts, and software. But what do you do, and where can people check it out?
Yeah, Jeremy, good to have me. Good to be here. Thanks for having me. Actually, I was going to say.
Yeah. You're like, it is
And
good to
Zeke,
have me. Yeah.
yeah, good to have me. Zeke, good to meet you. I am in Chicago, as you know, Jeremy. We're both in Chicago. Hopefully, meeting each other tonight in person too. First of all, as you asked, my business is called VisualSP. It's completely online. It's a software business that we're in right now. It's visualsp.com. We focus very much on helping organizations, especially mid-sized organizations who are Microsoft customers, helping them with their employee and support by providing overlays that go directly on top of their web applications like Dynamics, SharePoint, Workday, whatever it is that they have deployed to just support their employees. And now, as Zeke was talking about also, we are very, very heavily into AI, very, very, as a business and me as an individual also. So I'll tell you a little bit more about that as we go into it. But good to be here.
Yeah. And so let's start off. We'll get to app software and those kind of things, which I'm sure you geek out on, but let's start with your favorite books.
Yeah, I'm a big connoisseur of Kindle books just because I can take them everywhere. So it's like I'm showing my phone over here. There's so much that I got on this device alone. Some of the ones that come to mind, they're not really technical books, but these are books that have been extremely helpful to me as an individual and just to me, developing myself. There's one called How to Know a Person by David Brooks. Very good one, relating to other humans, which seems like an art that we're losing these days. So that's a really good one. There's another one called Letting Go. It's a very good book, David Hawkins. There's Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. I believe he wrote that at the beginning of the century, and there's so much good stuff that comes out of his mouth all the time. I cannot not mention Gino Wickman's Traction because we run EOS in our company, so that's a big one for us. And there's several more. Never Split the Difference, Chris Voss. There's the Almanac
That's one of my favorites.
Naval Ravikant. Yeah. The Almanac of Naval Ravikant, I think, is an extremely innovative and introspective individual. So I follow his teachings quite a bit. So a lot of good stuff and so many more.
Love it. What about podcasts on the podcast front?
Well, it has to be Inspired Insider, obviously, number one by Jeremy Wise, right?
I'll take it. Thank you.
All right. I heard Zeke mention Lenny's podcast. Those are awesome. Awesome. I think I listened to the Ben Horowitz one that you were talking about.
Okay.
I think so. Well, unless he did it again. I know there was one of them that he did before. Was that recent right now?
It was September 11th, it looks like.
Okay, so this is a recent one. Maybe I'm thinking about a different podcast that Ben did, or anyway. Love that guy also, extremely knowledgeable. Lenny's podcast for sure is one of the top ones. I listen to The Daily by New York Times on a regular basis. They just take one topic and go deep inside, and I love that. Instead of just saying, here's 20 different things that are going on, because there's just too much going on. There's another podcast, speaking of AI, called the AI Deep Dive. I don't know if you've seen that. There's actually two hosts. They're both AI hosts. They're not real people. They're just two AI entities. And they're talking about what's new in AI. And man,
that's pretty meta.
It is
AI talking about AI.
It's pretty trippy also because they're talking about AI like it's something else instead of themselves. So they're not aware to their AI, just the way it is. It's pretty cool. Listen
Wow.
to that. Yeah, so AI deep dive. Um, there's one called The Scaling or The Science of Scaling by Mark Roberge, who used to be at HubSpot. That's a very good one. There's so many. All In comes to mind. Founders. It's a pretty good one. So many good podcasts.
So let's get into apps and software.
Wow, I heard Zeke mention before he left the Whisper Flow. That's so funny because I have that in my mind also. I use it every single day. I'm looking at the icon right now on my laptop for Whisper Flow. It's been a game changer. I already speak a lot to my computer, to my phone, and Whisper Flow just makes it easy with AI. I feel like I'm advertising for them, but it is a pretty cool application. But another one that's a classic, at least for me, and I use it so much every single day is OneNote. I've just been using OneNote. I know many people use Evernote or just notes on their Apple device or whatever. For me, it's OneNote, and I got a ridiculous amount of notebooks and sections and pages. I put all of my brain, my thoughts, and everything in there. So that's a big one. AI tools go without saying. Obviously, I use like I'm looking at my phone. I have ChatGPT, Perplexity, Claude, Copilot, Grok, Gemini. I got all of them, and I'm paying for most of them actually. But there's just so much that I learn and I do, and I do for different purposes. And I teach on this, as you know, AI for business and AI for personal. I teach on these things all the time, so it just makes sense to have all of them and to keep abreast on what's going on. How we can help others with the knowledge. Um, Obviously, I have to mention our own software, VisualSP. That's our software, so that goes into the softwares and apps tools also. We actually use VisualSP internally as well to find our own data or to get help on our own application. So when someone comes in new in our company, we say, hey, you looking for an answer? Go into VisualSP. It's going to have all the knowledge and it's going to give you overlays and lots of good stuff. So that's great.
Talk about how that works. How does VisualSP work?
Yeah, so I've been a trainer and I've even before that was curriculum developer for a long, long time. And it was always before I'm talking about early 2000s where you go to a knowledge base or you go to a learning management system or learning system to get your information. And then when we started developing this software, it was very much like, don't go anywhere. The information that you need is right there, at your moment of need. If I'm using a system, the answer is overlaid on the system in the form of maybe a simple announcement banner or a guided walkthrough or an inline help. There's something flashing in your face right there, like, hey, pay attention to me. You click on it, the video appears. Lots of good stuff like that. It overlays and just feels like it's part of the system. That's how it works. Yeah, and now we're incorporating some pretty amazing AI stuff in there where it knows where you are and gives you information from a different source coming directly here as to here's what you need to know right here. So you don't have to go there. So pretty cool stuff, in my opinion. But I'm biased.
Anything interesting of how you said you have different AI tools for different functions?
Yeah.
So give an example of that, of, maybe you're using this for this and this for something else.
Sure. ChatGPT is still my main brainstorming buddy. I use that for everything, preparing for things and brainstorming on things, or even I was developing some curriculum for Microsoft Copilot training. And I've been a curriculum developer for a very long time, but now it helps me develop it much, much faster with different things that I can dig into. So I use ChatGPT quite a bit, but then followed by Google Gemini. They have a pretty awesome image generator that keeps your image. It's called a character preservation, I believe. Take your image, for example, Jeremy, and put you on a beach somewhere, which I'm sure you would love to be on right now. So that I do that a lot with character preservation and image manipulation. I use Perplexity for a lot of news and information. They have a really good news feed that appears directly in the app or on the computer also. Then Microsoft Copilot, because we run our business on Microsoft Copilot, all of our meetings and Teams and SharePoint and notes, everything is there. So when I ask about, hey, we met with this particular client, what did we discuss on September 4th or whatever, it would tell me immediately. So I use that quite a bit. Grok, I don't use as much, and that's probably the only AI that I'm not paying for. I'm using the free model, and I'm just trying to use that as comparison for other ones. But it's very liberal, which could be good or bad, depends on how you look at it. And then Claude. Claude is a great writing partner where you could get really deep into some very good introspective writing. where it's probably the best writer and good for code generation. Which I'm not a coder anymore. I used to be a long time ago, but I would use that specifically if I was.
Well, first of all, Esma, I just want to thank you. Thanks for sharing your books, podcasts, apps, and software. Appreciate it.
Yeah, good to be here.
All right, we have great people, great resources. I'm excited to have Rolando Rosas on with us, and we'll talk about favorite books, podcasts, software. But Rolando, we'll start off with what you do and your website so people can check it out.
Well, I am in the electronics business and audio business and helping people.
I couldn't tell from your setup there.
And helping people and businesses be more productive, especially for remote work. So we sell all the tools like professional headsets, speaker phones, those types of electronics that equip people for that type of remote work, as well as for office settings. I've been doing that for over 20 years and, trying to evolve with the times, so to speak. In terms of website, you can find us on amazon.com/TECK. That's amazon.com/TECK.
Yeah. And, if you've bought someone Amazon headsets, you may have already bought from Rolando, right? So
probably. You probably bought a bunch of stuff from, or your organization has bought it. And actually, one of the things that we've been doing that's new that wasn't available is that we can actually support customers. It's been coming mostly from the enterprise side. The knock on Amazon is that, if they want support, it's off to somebody, remotely somewhere that doesn't understand. We actually partnered with them to tackle that. So every customer of ours that buys on Amazon, within the Amazon app, I was just 2 clicks away from getting support from my team. So that's fairly new. And we love that because now our customers like what we're giving them, the product plus the support that they're looking for.
No, that's amazing. Yeah, I've experienced firsthand your products and support, and it's pretty amazing. Let's go to books first.
Yeah.
Some of your favorite books.
Ooh, my goodness. I'm going to offend some people if I just say a favorite book.
You could say multiple.
There's one. There's Never Split the Difference from Chris Voss. That is amazing.
You had someone from their team on your podcast.
Yes, Derek Gaunt. He was amazing. He was an amazing guest. His episode did really well on our podcast, and he was just amazing. Just the part of how do you have a dialogue with somebody, when somebody's screaming in your face and all of that. And let me ask you this: do you think it's harder to have a conversation or a dialogue with a terrorist versus a toddler? I asked him that question.
Well, actually,
that's
why I bought Never Split the Difference. People were like, "Oh, it's a great negotiation book, and it's great for business." And what I heard, in Chris Voss is ex-FBI hostage negotiator, right? He's negotiating terrorists.
Yes.
What I heard was, I feel like it's hard to get my kid out the door in the morning. And so that's actually why I originally bought it. Because I'm like, well, if this person can negotiate with terrorists, then surely it will work with little kids. So that's why that's what caused me to buy the book in the first place.
Yeah, and it's amazing. And there's a couple other books I can give you. Colin Woodard, 11 Nations. I'm looking it up because I forgot the exact 11 Nations of the U.S. So if you read that book, they have writings of people that describe their adventures going to places like New York back in the 1800s. And it's the exact same, quote, complaints that people have about New York people. They're brash and da-da-da-da. And what he explains is that...
you're wearing the Yankees hat?
Yes. That even if you bring in a new group of people, a new group of immigrants, a new group of folks from different walks of life, and they come into a region, whether it's New York, whether it's the Midwest, whether it's the West Coast, they eventually adopt what's there. It just becomes that. It doesn't become the other way around. So New York will never become Mississippi. Mississippi will never become New York. And the people that move to those areas historically have done that. And he explains that we're actually a part of 11 nations inside the US. And he traces the origins of those. Fascinating.
Interesting.
Just very fascinating. There's another one by David Epstein. I'm trying to remember the name of that title, but
He's got a few books, right? David Epstein.
yes. And so he's actually on a book tour right now of sorts. So David, if you're listening to this, I'd love to talk to you.
Range is one of them.
Yes.
The Sports Gene. What, I don't know which one's the new one.
Yes. So he's got a couple of them, but one of the things that he looked at was research around the 10,000 hours, the whole 10,000. And he knows the guy that wrote, is that Malcolm Gladwell that wrote 10,000 hours?
Well, yeah, it's a tipping point book. Yeah, he talks about 10,000 hours. Yep.
And so that's a myth. You don't need 10,000 hours because in the original study, there were people that got to the expertise and mastery way sooner than 10,000 hours. Some that took much, much longer than that. So that 10,000 hours is not correct, which is fascinating. So you can become a master at what you're doing. So there's actual studies that have looked at this. You can become a master within 17 minutes a day. So if you don't know how to play the piano, 17 minutes a day is all you need. You do that for a year, you're going to be ahead of 90% of the people that try to play piano because they play it once a month or, 1 hour of every quarter or something like that, or whenever the mood hits them. 17 minutes a day through a year gets you further than 90% of the people that are trying to play piano.
It's all about consistency. And Dr. Kim, thanks for joining us. I'll get to you in a second. I was going to say, when you came in, Rolando, you were saying about New York, and I joke around our mutual friend, Chad Rubin, and I'm like, what I said, I go, you're a nice New Yorker, but the nicest New Yorker is still not as nice as the meanest Canadian or Minnesotan. So,
well, Minnesota was where I went to school and lived for a long time.
That's where Dr. Kim is.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Where in Minnesota are you?
Minneapolis.
Oh, I lived in St. Paul.
Yeah, small town though. Worthington is where I'm originally from.
Where'd you go to school, Duluth. Rolando?
I went to school at a liberal arts college called McAllister, right in St. Paul. And it's crazy because St. Paul and Minneapolis are so close, and there's a whole ton of colleges and universities literally within 20-minute radius. It's just crazy that there's in most colleges tend to be in the middle of nowhere. If you look at where they're all spread through the U.S., they're most of them in the middle of nowhere. In the Twin Cities, 20 minutes, you can hit a bunch of schools and universities. Yeah,
I like what you're saying about, and I'll have to check out the David Epstein books. I don't know if I have them on my Audible or not, but when I decided I'm going to train for the Murph workout, which is a kind of a benchmark CrossFit workout, and in that I won't go into the whole thing, but one of the part of the workout you have to do 100 pull-ups, right? And I could do at the time 1 pull-up, right? And so I just decided I'm going to do one. It's consistency. I was going to in between when I'm cooking dinner or whatever, put a pull-up bar up. I'm going to do 1 pull-up a day or 1 every time I put something on the stove, and just did that every single day. And maybe we'll do 1 or 2, and then that led to more, right? And so eventually, so it's just that consistency thing, like you said, of just whatever, 17, whatever the time is, 17 minutes.
17 minutes a day. Here's another one from David Epstein that it was really kind of cool and enlightening, so to speak, that people that, so the whole argument is specialist versus generalist. And what he said was that people that are generalist, if you're especially looking at sports performance, they tend to do better because his expertise is in sports. So if you have somebody that played baseball and they played all their youth, you're going to have some people that outperform. But if you're looking at even great athletes, even the elites, they may have done 2 or 3, 4 sports until they got to college or until they got to high school. And then their skill set took over when they started playing just basketball.
I think, and there's a really good book, The Talent Code. I think they talk about in The Talent Code about Wayne Gretzky. I think, where exactly what you're saying. Like he was basically playing all these sports. He wasn't like only doing hockey like all the time. You
I
appreciate this
didn't know that.
being in Minnesota, hockey, Dr. Kim. But like, yeah, I think it was in the talent code where he's like, yeah, he was doing all these sports, and until later, he obviously only did hockey. But up until that point, now in this day and age, a lot of kids are like, well, I'm only doing baseball, and that's all I'm focused in on, and that's not how it was
No,
with
no,
Wayne
it's and
Gretzky.
he says it's a mistake to do that because he in this talk that I was listening to him talk about Serena Williams. I guess he was somewhere and she was in the audience talking about general resources specialist. She stood up and he says, I had the fear of God. He didn't say
Yeah,
it that
it's
way, but he
like
said
it's either gonna go really good or really bad at this point.
exactly. And so she was like, yeah, you're on to something because my dad encouraged us to do ballet and dance and this and that and the other. They didn't, and her and her sister are some of the most dominant, probably the most dominant in our modern history when it comes to a sport, you know. And she did number of different sports until later they just focused on tennis. Which she said there's something to that.
So books, now let's get a podcast. Favorite podcast. Obviously give a shout for your podcast and some of the guests you love, and we'll get into podcasts.
Yeah, my podcast is called What the Tech with the K, TECK. And some of the podcasts that I'm really nerding out on, I love Stephen Bartlett, Diary of a CEO. I watch him often. On the content creator side, I like Colin and Samir's show. They have a number of different guests, very good deep dives. So I like listening to them. I would say those are the two that I have time for. And then sporadically, I may pick up, an AI podcast, AI Advantage, which is, AI. It's pretty simple, but this guy's pretty good at breaking the stuff that's trending on AI.
Some of your memorable guests.
Derek was one. Another one people may not know is a professor, Mike Perko. He said to me that his kid was in lacrosse camp, and one of the coaches he had, his kid at the lacrosse camp, they had a situation where his kid was the smallest kid at the camp. And so they basically said, well, how many fist bumps can we do in 1 hour or something? Oh, somebody yelled out 500. So they did. And the coach got them all motivated. All of them performed well from the grunt of the group to the biggest guy on the team. Then he never had another coach like that. And so he's like, that's terrible that most kids don't have that experience. Then he tells me that the NBA has done research around this type of concept and that players perform better after a fist bump. And because I said to him, this has got to be foo-foo stuff. Wee-wee, foo-foo, kumbaya stuff. This doesn't, what's the science behind it? He goes, no, there's some serious science behind it. And I will bring it all the way personal to me that a couple of weeks ago, I was asked to be a substitute soccer coach for my kid's little soccer thing that he does. I did exactly that. I implemented what this professor said would work. All the parents loved it.
So the kids, what'd you have that you kids all give each other fist bumps, or what did you
Yes,
do?
periodically, not every time, just, here, yeah, we finished our drill. Come on, everybody, come on in. Bloom. And then they said they were more engaged, and some of the kids wanted me as their coach. That was surprising. I was not expecting that. I was not expecting that at all. So there's something there. Do I know all of what's happening there and the science behind it? I just know if the NBA says it works, and I think he was given a talk recently to the U.S. Soccer Federation about this, so that more and more organizations, it's free, just do it, and kids kind of lift their spirits. They're more engaged, and if it's free and it works, why not?
I love it. Favorite apps and software?
Hey, so apps. I got a ton on my phone. I'm loving the three AI, so I'll put them all together. Gemini, Claude, and ChatGPT. I use them all three and play around with them because every single day, if you fall asleep, you don't know, oh, this one came out with this one, and this one's agentic, and this one's, vibe coding now. And you will complete, oh, Nano Banana, that's on Gemini. So playing around with them, you find out, oh, wow, this is here. I could do this just last week.
They change
so those
so
are the three I would say that I like. Software. I really am liking Descript. So if you're into the content business, Descript is really another thing that's just made editing video for non-hardcore video people. If you want to have a video that looks way better than just a camera shot or just, webcam, this takes that to the next level for non-hardcore editors like most people. It's just a really great piece of software.
Any in your phone? Favorite apps?
I get those three that I mentioned.
Three. Okay.
I use them on my phone. I use them regularly. Claude,
nice.
ChatGPT, and Gemini. All those three apps. Those I would say right now are my favorite three apps.
Rolando, thank you. As always, you could stay on if you have to hop off and you're
I
busy.
want to hear what
No
Dr.
worries.
Kim got to say.
And I'm going to get to Dr. Kim. Dr. Kim, thanks for joining me. And this is great people, great resources. And we'll get to books, podcasts, apps, and software. But let's just start off with what you do and your website.
So I am a chiropractor, acupuncturist, functional medicine practitioner. I love doing anything integrative health. I always want to help people get to their greatest God-given potential. And the biggest part right now is actually working on just expanding out the radio show, podcast stuff. And so we decided to go with Align and Abide moving forward. I know this.
I like the word align.
25, that helped me come up with it.
I know them.
Do you? I kind of like them a lot right now.
What's your website so people can check it out?
My website is drkimtran.com.
Right. And your podcast, all the episodes will be linked there. Kim's been doing a radio show for many years.
Yeah.
And so maybe we'll start with the podcast front and we could talk about your podcast, some of your favorite podcasts in general, but talk about yours for a second and some favorite guests you've had on.
I have actually found some of my favorite guests to even just be some of my patients who have been given testimonials. I was talking about this with somebody else who I actually met this woman who was a guest I really wanted to give insight to people that maybe when we look at addiction or we look at traumas that people have been through, that it doesn't actually define them. And I had met this woman because I sponsor a lot of art fairs. She came in as a patient. She was actually born to a meth addict. And, so to hear her story of her coming on, explaining how she was sold into sex early on, and that her first hit of meth was actually with her mom at 13. And then it starts giving you a very different perspective of, addiction or what people are suffering with too. And I think that now expanding out this podcast, even today on the airplane when I was flying into Atlanta, I actually met another couple who she's the wife of one of the Minnesota state representatives in Minnesota that's going to come on. And then on top of it, they actually have a ministry that they actually help to sponsor medical supplies, schools, and students in Honduras. So it's pretty amazing just the opportunities we get to meet with, when you're really curious about meeting people and their stories.
That's great. Any favorite podcasts that you listen to?
My couple of favorite people, I love Cody Sanchez. I think she just is so motivating as like a woman entrepreneur. Her podcast is The Big Deal. And Dan Martell, I really just like his no nonsense approach to like, how do you get your time back? And I think this is important as like any entrepreneur is sometimes we can be our own bottleneck and realize that, yes, you're going to allow other people to do it. And they're probably going to do it at about 70% of what you can do it, but then it's still going to get done. And you can really focus more on what you do really well.
Dr. Kim, you mentioned Cody Sanchez. So like there's a platform, and we'll get to apps and software in a second and books, but there's Delphi.ai, and Rolando, I don't know if you've heard of that before. I had the founder on. It basically helps people create a clone of themselves. And so you can talk to them and ask questions and things like that. So I saw this person speak. I had the founder on the podcast, but when I reached out to them, I said, I don't want to have you on the podcast. I actually want to have your video clone on the podcast. So I interviewed their video clone for 20 minutes, just me and their video clone, and published the episode. And then I said, hey, if you want to come on. So then I had him on, just chat for like 5 or 10 minutes. And I put that in the front end of the interview. And then I had Joe Polish's AI video clone on my podcast from Delphi. The reason I'm saying that is Cody Sanchez is actually on Delphi. So maybe you can interview her video clone for your podcast. I'm actually going to do, I messaged the Delphi founder and one of the co-founders of HubSpot, Brian Halligan. I said, hey, do you mind can you reach out to Brian and see if I can interview his video clone for the podcast? And he responded, yes. I don't have a confirmation with Brian, but he said, yeah, you could have Brian on. So I'm going to probably interview the co-founder of HubSpot on my podcast through Delphi. So we'll have to, you'll look at,
and how good was that, those interviews?
What's that?
How good are the ones with the clones?
They're very interesting. Yeah, check it out. If anyone goes to inspiredinsider.com and you search Delphi.ai or you search Joe Polish, it says in there with, their video clone. So anyways, on the Cody Sanchez thing, she is on Delphi. So you can talk to her and ask her questions or type in whatever it is. So maybe that's a future guest for you.
Yeah, for sure. That would be amazing. Yeah.
So books. What are your favorite books?
Okay. Well, my number one go-to book is obviously the Bible, right? But
that's a repeat one on these episodes for sure.
Is that the repeat one?
It is a repeat one.
The other author that I completely love right now is Michelle McLean Walters. She writes so many books on like the Hannah anointing, the Anna anointing, or the Chosen. It's all these books of people in the Bible, and it really applies into like, how do you apply it to your real life? If you're going through suffering, if you're going through burdens, if you're going through things in your own life. And I think it just makes it so relatable to people that you can go through and think that sometimes you're reading old stories and you're thinking, well, that's not going to apply to me now. But yet, seeing how she integrates that in, I mean, she's like one of my like dream people to have on my podcast, right?
Any other favorite books throughout the years?
Right now, most of my books right now involve studying languages. So I have been really big in getting more in depth with Vietnamese, Spanish, French. I mean, I had a patient who came in from Switzerland. So good thing that background German from high school really played out.
What languages do you speak?
I actually got at the College of St. Scholastica, they gave me a scholarship to learn Ojibwe. Can you believe this? It's like, so when people are like, well, do you really know? Like they'll kind of pretend on different languages. So then I'll be like, Bangi etagonenata Ojibweum, Buju anin ejayagan.
You have a knack for languages, I take it then.
Yeah, I really like languages, although it's kind of funny. When I'm in Vietnam, or I was talking with one of my Spanish patients, but sometimes if you've ever spoke different languages, sometimes I have a tendency to plop in a different word of a different language. So like I was talking to one of my Vietnamese patients very simply, and I was like, oh yeah, you have pain here. But I said Dao Akib, which is like pain in Vietnamese.
Right, exactly.
Like
you're mixing the two.
Yeah, I get some interesting looks from my family in Vietnam sometimes when I do that. What
about on the apps and software front? What are some of the apps and software using on the computer, on the phone?
Actually, one of my go-to things just because of patience is like Google Translate, with certain patients when we're going through like the patient from Switzerland, when I had to explain something really quick. It was just nice to be able to pull that up really quickly and just give her a quick translation over that. Duolingo. I also just from a language speaking, like if you're really looking to grow your language, I actually like an app called Bible.is. And what it is you can actually play all the different types of Bible versions in different languages. So I love it for, practicing Vietnamese, Spanish, looking at French, things like that. So it makes it applicable to what I've already known, but then I can hear it in another language.
Any health apps or software?
I used to be really big on a macros app when I was training for competitions.
What is it?
Macros.
Oh, macros. Okay.
Yeah. Like I always think that's important. Like if you're really looking to get in shape and really just watch your diet. Like when I was training for all the competitions, we had to really keep track of, okay, how many grams of protein did I use today? Carbs, fats. So I've really liked those apps as far as health, just because I think sometimes people can be so consumed with calorie count and not looking at what nutrients they're putting in.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of for me when I started getting more serious with my diet, it was shocking. I wasn't really paying attention at all, to be honest with you. And then when I started paying attention, I'm like, oh my God, there's that much calories and that much fat in this stuff. It was insane. And so I was just consuming so much. And just as you know, when you measure something, you pay attention to it, whatever it is. And so I've used certain apps like that. And now I'm very routine based. So I just now try and eat the same thing for most people probably get bored, but I can eat the same thing for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, so I don't have to use those apps. I'm like, okay, I know if I just eat this, like this is where I need to be. But it was shocking to me how many calories I was eating in a day, not paying attention to it. What about you, Rolando? Anything on the health side that you do that you track or look at from an app or software? I'm looking at mine.
I don't.
I have like a little.
What I'll tell you, what I do is there's a very good channel, Knees Over Toes. I'm a former athlete.
I love that one.
I love Knees Over Toes. I talk about that guy all the time.
Yes, he's super, super good, and it's been super helpful. There's another channel, I can't remember the name of the guy, it's GMB, and it's some of those type of philosophies from Knees Over Toes guy, as well as some other movements that you can incorporate. And those two have I had a really bad shoulder. I couldn't even crawl on the floor. And now I can crawl on the floor pain-free. And so those are the two. If you have some kind of knee injury, shoulder injury, definitely check out Knee Over Toes, because he does more than just knees and toes. And then GMB is the other one.
Yeah. I when I tore my meniscus, I was like consuming all of his videos.
I think he tore his knee, and they told him you can't jump anymore. You're not gonna, Now
he can dunk, I think, standing.
Oh yeah, he can dunk
from just standing.
From sitting, from a squat position. From a squat position, he can dunk.
Yeah.
A white guy. You don't see that.
White men can jump.
And he can jump.
Dr.
What's that?
I'm going to expect you to do that too.
Yes, I want to see you dunk.
I would love to.
Go right.
I should be. I'm 6'3", so you'd think
you're closer to the rim than I am.
Exactly.
I would at least touch it or something.
Exactly. Well, thank you both for joining. I appreciate it, and just stay tuned for the next one.
All right. Thank you, Jeremy.
What I got, you can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sailing right now. I'm feeling like 100 grand.